So the spoilers of Sukuna Kaisen chapter 254 are out. You've probably heard this line countless times, but what I'm about to say might be new for you. So the thing is that this chapter was unnecessary, literally a waste of time. And to be honest, Jujutsu Kaisen is becoming boring now. But it's okay, let's move on to the spoilers first. The chapter starts with Kusakabe employing the new shadow style simple domain, evening moon sword drawing. Okay, so now he is using moon breathing. Sukuna recognizes the technique, but he wonders why Kusakabe is using it against him, knowing that he can deflect slashes effortlessly. Then we are shown Kusakabe's monologue, explaining why he is using this technique. Simple domain can be used against domain expansions to eliminate the sure hit effect, but it doesn't neutralize the curse technique itself. But putting that aside, even though it's simple, it's still a domain, and we already know this information. I don't know what the point was of adding this here. Now even Sukuna feels that this fight is boring, and he just stands there throwing slashes at Kusakabe. As Sukuna sends slashes, Kusakabe brushes them off with his katana. He thinks inside this domain, my cursed energy output is amplified and Sukuna's technique will get weaker. Kusakabe can add a fully automatic system, which makes him able to attack whatever that enters his domain. This means that any attack that comes within Kusakabe's simple domain will automatically weaken itself. Even Sukuna praises Kusakabe, saying that his reflexes aren't bad. Further, we are told that Kusakabe has been dealing with Sukuna's slashes by reading the sparks of cursed energy, motion, and pure intuition, and his domain further facilitates that work. Now, Kusakabe was dodging each slash very easily, but just as he was boasting about his technique of surviving slashes by reading Sukuna's motion, suddenly Kusakabe is hit with another set of slashes, which he barely dodges. He realizes that Sukuna activated his curse technique with zero motion. This means Sukuna is standing calmly and releasing slashes without any movement. And upon seeing this, the first thing that came to my mind is that Sukuna had cut down two sisters in Shibuya in a similar manner. Then, once again, we see an interview-type flashback where everyone is praising Kusakabe. Nanami calls him an expert swordsman with a wide variety of techniques. Mei says Kusakabe is a useful man who can apply himself to any given situation. Gojo praises Kusakabe for having the simple domain trump card. Gojo says a lot of beginners have to create binding vows to form it, but Kusakabe can establish a simple domain without any binding vows, and its effective range is also huge. After this, we are informed that Miwa, who is considered useless, has to create a binding vow to cast a simple domain, and his binding vow is that both of his legs must be grounded. If they are not, it will deactivate. This was just an example of how beginners need to create a binding vow for a simple domain, something that Kusakabe doesn't have to do. And I don't know why we're hearing about this. It's like I've reached the maximum level of a game, and even after becoming so powerful, I'm still doing a level 1 mission. We've seen so much in JJ, and then we're told that someone is using a simple domain without a binding vow. Reading about this is boring. Now then, Kusakabe senses that Sukuna is about to expand the target of his curse technique to use world-cutting slash, so Kusakabe immediately expands the range of his simple domain. Even Sukuna is surprised by this. Kusakabe expanded the range of his simple domain so much that he even enveloped Sukuna within it. Then we are shown another flashback in which Mei says usually when someone uses sword drawing, they lure their opponents in, but Kusakabe extends the range of his simple domain and gets the opponent inside the range, and he can attack whoever enters his domain automatically. Then she again says he's the type of jujutsu sorcerer that I would like to bring on a deserted island. I don't know why she said this line. Now, then we see Kusakabe cutting Sukuna. Kusakabe is using his sword to deliver multiple slashes to Sukuna. Now, as Kusakabe launches multiple cutting attacks on Sukuna, Nanami's thoughts on his situation were, I don't know anyone who can manage to block all of that attacks of Kusakabe. Well, Nanami knows someone who doesn't even need to block that at all. Gojo. Now, as Kusakabe relentlessly slashes at Sukuna like a madman, there comes a point where Kusakabe's sword itself breaks. Now Kusakabe throws off his coat and starts throwing hands. He might be out of sword, but never out of options. And don't considering Kusakabe weak. He delivered a kick, sending Sukuna flying. Kusakabe chases Sukuna, who was sent flying from a kick earlier by him. Kusakabe thinks, why am I trying so hard again? This isn't like me. But then he realizes it's because he's indebted to Principal Yaga. Now you know that Kusakabe's sister had a son who died at a very young age. And because of this, his sister goes mentally sick. So Principal Yaga extracted the memories of her son and put them back into a doll, which caused Kusakabe's sister to start laughing again. So it's precisely this debt of Principal Yaga that's pushing him so hard. Now we see Gojo, Nanami, and Mei stating that the #1 reason why they recommend Kusakabe as the strongest grade 1 sorcerer is because he's super kind. Kusakabe strikes an honored pose as he tells himself that he should stop thinking nonsense because the kids fought with their lives on the line. Then Kusakabe uses Hazy Moon technique from his new shadow style. It forms an aura which takes shape of the remaining part of his broken katana. Kusakabe rushes once again to attack, but Sukuna grabs hold of the sword with just 2 fingers. Sukuna says, "You aimed for my heart where I'm already damaged." Wow, you think I'm a fool. In the very next panel, we see our honored one is lying on the floor with his chest slashed by Sukuna. Now, Kusakabe is also dead. Then my brother arrives here to take Kusakabe, but he didn't know that his death was standing behind him. Sukuna says, "You are starting to get annoying," and he knows Sukuna don't play around. Just as Sukuna was about to kill him, Miguel arrives at the battle scene and rescues our boy immediately. When Sukuna says he doesn't recognize him, Miguel goes, "You must live under a rock for not knowing who I am." These islanders need to sharpen their senses more. Seriously, he's trying to become Chad in front of the Lord. And with chapter ends with an editor note. Miguel, the man who fought Goju Satoru on equal footing, joins the fight. Now, before breaking down this chapter, what I was saying is this chapter is not needed. The rest of the G-Jake manga will end by the end of this year. But if this manga continues like this, I'm telling you the truth, its ending is going to be very bad. Anyway, tell me how you liked the chapter, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button, and also subscribe to the channel. See you with another amazing video until then. Goodbye.